I share a lot of Postman's convictions of the use of television in the realms of religion, of politics, and of education. I agree with him that television has its priority as entertainment, and in television striving to be more entertaining, its methods to a large degree, it has become more detrimental than beneficial to Americans learning from those three realms. My own examples. In the realm of religion, my personal experience proves to me that watching a worship service on television is not nearly as beneficial to me as being at a worship service live. Watching on television, I can exchange hugs, handshakes, or even common pleasantries of conversation with my fellow worshipers. In politics, like Postman said, political commercials on television are more interested in portraying a candidate's image than in proclaiming the candidate's stances on political issues. And in education, especially in elementary education, it is important that a student have opportunities to ask an instructor his or her questions, whether during or after class. And that's my logical understanding that it's often critical in children's education for them to have the ability to grasp a new concept by asking questions of their instructors. That can't be done via television. I've not read Orwell's book 1984, nor Huxley's book Brave New World, but I think Postman sufficiently summarized them to give me understanding of his references to Orwell's and to Huxley's books. Also, I have heard many references to the book 1984 since the year actually came and went during my lifetime. I think I understand in Orwell's fictional story, the government is known as Big Brother, and Big Brother, as Postman indicated, becomes a taskmaster to the point that the culture of the society of that land, quote, becomes a prison, unquote. Orwell apparently described a totalitarian government who limited information that was available to its citizens through the active practice of censorship. Sort of in contrast to Orwell's book, Huxley apparently described a society which indirectly and unknowingly was deprived of available information through a type of self-imposed censorship of information when the population was distracted by trivial entertainment rather than seeking deeper knowledge. This generalization of Huxley's book seems to be more in line with Postman's view of television shortening the attention span of American society and thereby causing a decrease in the useful intelligence of society's individuals. In relation, the empty self that J.P. Moreland described is basically very self-focused, seeking to be coddled and entertained to varying degrees. Moreland listed some of the characteristics of the empty self. Some of those characteristics are that the empty self seldom strives to be a part of any community. He continues to act childish into his adulthood. His personal fulfillment is his top priority. He is more passive than intentionally trying to achieve something. He is focused on his physical self and seldom considers his spiritual self. He's usually more focused on what he possesses than on his inner character. And he has an overly busy life. Now, If we're all honest with ourselves, many of us have some of these characteristics sometimes, but the empty self has them as predominant in his or her life. The Christian church will do well to strongly encourage her members to emotionally engage, to intentionally engage in lots of reading, both scripture and other quality fiction and nonfiction books, for each can be beneficial to people. Another thing churches should encourage in her members is to purposefully seek people, both known friends and new folks, with whom they can have dinner, lunch, coffee, or something to have conversations with one another. Perhaps churches could also encourage members to invite others to interact with them in Bible study, or maybe even to have conversation about a book that they're all reading at the same time. And they can, kind of like a book club used to be known. I know I'm old, but they used to be known as book clubs. Anyway, the point is reversing the cultural realities that postmen addressed in amusing ourselves to death should start with us watching less television and doing those suggested things instead, or brainstorming your own ideas. Remember, even the longest journey begins with one step.